Hello and welcome to the Tinley Park Chamber of Commerce cable TV show. My name is Joe Ficcaro. I'm a past president of the chamber and now it's executive director. I'm happy to continue to be the cable show host. Now let's greet our first guest, a chamber member, representing a chamber member, so I guess that would be you, Matt Libs, who is the marketing manager for the Tinley Park Park District. Matt, we're glad to have you here. We got some, and I know we're not barking up the wrong tree in this case, and I think you're going to understand. You know my sense of humor by now. You'll understand why I said that. Mm-hmm. But Mark, before we get into the meat of the matter, I couldn't think of anything that would go better than the meat of the matter.
Bone of the matter?
Yeah, the bone of the matter. Why don't you tell us, what inspired you to get into this type of work, particularly with, let's say, a park district, and then tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the major message.
Okay. Well, I'm actually born and raised in Tinley Park. Right. My family moved here when I was 3 years old and went to Kirby School. Mm-hmm. So I was here, when the Bentonhausen Rec Center was still field. So I'm very familiar with the area, and it just so happened when I was finishing up college, job was posted at the rec center, and my father-in-law saw it as he was driving by, and went to apply at my local park district, which I had played t-ball, and soccer growing up in. So, but getting into parks and recreation, it's really about the community and about the kids, and for me, having a sense of giving back to my community, that's been the real fulfillment, in terms of doing what I do at the park district, which I always say, we have a great staff that does all the scheduling and the, coming up with the new creative programs. I'm there to help make them look good. I'm there to take the great opportunities that they have and let the community know about them. From our 4th of July festivities to, every year, big 4th of July event at McCarthy, to all of our programming from youth and preschool all the way up to seniors.
All right, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about some of those things if there's more details you want to say. Yeah. But it's great. They say it's good to do every aspect of a job or whatever, and while you weren't working, you were participating in the park district activities. So that's great that you know that, and it's nice of you to compliment. It is a great group of people, from the administration on up.
Yes.
Or is that on down? No, I know.
It's on up,
but yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So now let's talk about, well, you did a little bit about the park district, but one of the major things that we want to talk about is the newest developments. There's been a lot of concerns all over pertaining to dogs and what have you, but I think some of that is in the past, and we're able to move forward. Why don't you tell us about the Canine Campus?
Canine Campus. So it's a brand new dog park. It's been years in the making. Probably took about 2 or 3 years. From acquiring the land, the park district, and working with the Orland Township, which worked in conjunction with the park district in getting it built. So it's a brand new off-leash dog park on 10 acres of land at 84th Avenue in Nielsen, in Tinley Park. So if you're not familiar, it's when 183rd kind of goes through now to LaGrange. It's directly south of where the railroad tracks cross there.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful park. We have it sectioned into 3 different areas. 2 are open at a time, allowing the 3rd for the grass to regrow, because as Claws and Paws run around, and they were definitely running around from our ribbon cutting ceremony. The dogs were really happy and running around, but it does take its toll on the grass. So one will be closed at all times to let the grass regrow, and then it kind of goes in a cycle. So there's a section for big dogs over 26 pounds and a section for small dogs. It is a membership facility, so there's a membership. Memberships will be sold at the rec center. You can purchase them there. We do also have a packet that residents can download at on our website, tinleyparkdistrict.org, or they can pick it up at the rec center. This has all the information in terms of all of our rules, regulations, and then also has a form that they could bring to their vet to get the documentation for the necessary vaccinations and all the shots that the dogs have to be kept up to date on in order to be around so many dogs.
Sure.
Because as you mentioned, there was some concern. We actually had to delay grand opening about six to 7 weeks due to the canine influenza, more commonly known as dog flu, in the area. So we held off. Even we worked with PAWS pretty closely and kind of monitoring what they were doing, and yeah, what we had our grand opening in middle of June. Had probably about 50 people and dogs out there, getting to test it out and see the dog park for themselves, and and personally too, as a dog owner that lives in a condo, doesn't really have a yard. I've already taken advantage of it and brought my dog Dexter out there a couple times. He's a little miniature pincher, and although all my other interaction, he hasn't been too good with dogs, but he's been very good when he's out there. So some people might be surprised when they get out there. They might not think their dog's a dog park dog, but they get out there and he's having fun with the other dogs. So
are you saying that some dogs tend to be more sociable among other dogs than their owners actually think they might be?
Yeah, exactly. And it still is, there's a you still want to kind of monitor while you're out there. So it is, we do have rules in place where, you have to stay in. It's not like a doggy daycare where you drop your dog off and then go run errands or something. No, it's meant for the not only for the dogs to interact with themselves, but for the owners and the humans to be able to interact with their dogs better too. It's so different when you bring them out there and you can let them off the leash as opposed to just even taking a walk around the block or even like, a couple walks around the block. The amount of energy that they're able to get out, they go to all the different corners of the dog park fence area and just, sniff around and, mark where they want to. And so it is a very different experience when they get out there.
Yes, you wonder what's going through their minds as they're walking around sniffing and marking their territory or whatever, or just indicating that they've been there.
Yes.
Right.
They want to let it known.
So you've indicated it's not just a drop-off point, and it'll be open all year round, or
yes,
even come winter.
Yes, it'll basically operate the same as any of our neighborhood parks or community parks, where it's open dusk till dawn. Members will have an access card to be able to get them in. When they first sign up for a membership, they pay a $10 fee to have the access card. But then after that, each year that you renew, you don't have to repurchase the access card. So it's the $10 fee to get the access card. But yeah, it's open year round, dusk until dawn. We will have our security will treat it like any other park and drive by and just make sure people aren't there after hours when it's dark. The other thing too is, especially with dogs and small dogs, any part of Tinley Park you go to, you can have other wildlife in the area. So once we do kind of stress that when it is dark out, it is safest to keep the dogs out of the park just to make sure that you can see where they're going, because anywhere in Tinley Park we've had instances of coyotes or other vermin that could be in the area.
Yeah, we haven't had any lions or anything.
No, okay. not quite that exotic.
No, not that excited. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, we're glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, we've got about 30 seconds. Is there a closing message that you would like to actually say to our viewers?
Yeah, it's being a dog owner, living in a condo, it's really a great opportunity to bring the dogs out. From day one, tails were wagging, and I don't think dogs' tongues can come any further out of their mouths with how excited they are with panting and running around with all the other dogs. So if you're interested, stop by the Tony Bettenhausen Recreation Center right there on the corner of 80th and 171st. You can pick up an informational packet, bring it to your vet, and then get a membership, and it lasts an entire year.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Nice having you here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, our next guest, someone we're happy to have with us, also a chamber member. We have Bob Leoni, who is a local attorney. Bob, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Joe. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, we're glad to have you here. Bob, as I ask every guest, what was their inspiration, their motivation for going into either the field or the profession that they're in? And so if you would share that with us.
Well, it wasn't always a specific goal of mine, but I was always fascinated by the law, procedures, and oddly enough, it's the procedural provisions of the law that protect people's rights. So I happened to take the LSAT just on a whim, and I did well on it. So I went forward and went on to law school, and here I am.
Very good. All right, now we've covered that inspiration or the motivation. Now tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm a South suburban guy, born and raised in the area, lived here all my life. My office is in the south suburbs. I went to Western Illinois University and then John Marshall Law School in Chicago after that. I'm married, have 3 boys and 2 grandchildren we're just enjoying right now. So that's a lot of fun. So I'm a local guy, and it's good to be local.
Yes,
So,
it is.
Yeah.
And I know members of your family.
Yeah.
I think I've even seen the grandkids.
Yeah, I probably have.
Aren't they a joy?
Oh, they're fun. They're constantly making me laugh. So.
Well, rather than me asking you to tell me more about your organization or whatever, since you're an attorney,
Right.
attorneys handle cases.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us the typical cases that you handle?
Okay. Oddly enough, that's one of the most difficult questions I have to answer. People ask me, what do you do? What kind of cases do you handle? And it's kind of a broad spectrum of things. However, I would compare myself to your family doctor. And my clients will come to see me, or a prospective client. And at that point, I try to identify their problem. At that point, I do transition into a bit of a specialist, although lawyers can't say we're specialists. And I will very likely handle their matter themselves or myself. But if there's a particular specialty, patent, trademark, something like that, then I'll bring somebody else in. Certainly divorces, I don't care to get involved in those, and I don't do any criminal work. But I always recommend that my clients at least call me first so I can kind of identify their needs, and then we'll make a determination as the best course of action. But as far as the specific type of matters I typically handle, represent businesses, individuals in their contracts, transactional needs, certainly litigation, which can be long and drawn out and sometimes difficult. So it's essentially everything. I do essentially everything but divorce and criminal work.
All right, and do you find most of your work is in your office, or are you also in the courtroom often?
It's kind of streaky. There may be times I'll be in court every day of the week, and then the next week I'll be in the office every day. So it largely depends on the amount of litigation that's going on, and there's no trend or rhyme or reason for that. It is what it is. So I can't really say that it's one or the other. It depends on the week.
Well, I know our viewers out there, all walks of life, what have you, and with many different needs, and you find
Sure.
that in your practice. When should somebody call an attorney, and then why?
Well, calling an attorney is kind of like buying insurance. If you need it, it's irreplaceable. If you don't need it, some people will say, well, it's money not well spent. But at least it's the peace of mind knowing that your problem has been identified. Maybe you have an issue, maybe you don't. But if you have a question, call and know for sure. Certainly if you've been served with any papers or something that's time sensitive, you should call right away. But it's better to at least call first, find out, identify the problem, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, as you said, give you an opportunity to determine what their actual needs are.
That's right.
And then call in, as you said, a specialist.
That's right.
People who are familiar with other aspects of well, as you say, litigation or whatever.
Right.
All right, so we've determined they should call in an attorney sooner than later.
At least identify the problem. Get the peace of mind knowing that you do or do not have a problem.
And how long did you say you've been in practice now?
Well, I graduated from John Marshall in 1976, so sneaking up on 40 years.
40
Long
years.
time, yeah.
All right. Well, you are. It's a profession, and you are a professional.
Well, thank you. I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy getting to know my clients, their families, and really understanding the whole big picture, because there's typically they come in for one issue. it'll dovetail into another, and they'll tell me, oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point.
All right. Well, in your 40 years, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have had to face?
Well, since I started compared to now, I find that litigation matters are much more contentious. There's a lot more hardline positions with the parties. It's more of a fight and a battle than it used to be. So that's different. When I first started practicing, it seemed like the philosophy was, let's try and solve this problem, and work together. But now it's just, it's constantly butting heads and fighting.
Yeah, it seems to be that way in a lot of aspects of life,
Absolutely.
Unfortunately. Well, which takes a lot of different attributes.
Right.
As far as being an attorney and dealing with all those different issues.
Sure.
What are some of the most important attributes for an attorney?
Well, first and foremost, honesty and integrity. I mean, if you can't live by the rules and do the right thing, you have no business being a lawyer. But I think being patient, being a good listener is very, very important. The clients don't always know what their needs are, their issues are, and it's important to let them come in and sit down and say everything they have to say, and then you talk to them. You don't start out by giving them a lecture. You talk, listen, and keeping the client informed is also an important, and actually that's the biggest complaint about lawyers, that we never return phone calls. We don't get back to our clients, what's going on with my case. So I think basically the human interaction and being responsive to the client is extremely important.
Now, how long have you been at your current location?
Well, I've been in the Orland area since 1994, the current location since 2000.
Okay.
So.
Bob, who are your ideal clients?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the ideal client is one who's willing to listen to the downside or the negative side of their case, as well as the positive side, so that they can take a realistic view of the risks they're facing. Because not everyone comes in with a slam bang winner. You've got to go over the whole picture and say, look, here are some reasons that you might consider not going forward with this, and being able to evaluate those things and listen to me as much as I listen to them.
So in some cases, you're actually convincing somebody not to utilize your further services.
Well,
which is honest.
Well,
yeah.
It's honest, and if a man needs a pickup truck, you don't sell him a 40-foot semi. You want to fit what you're doing to the client's needs. But that more plays into the situation where you've got an issue or a controversy, and you're telling the client, look, you have this risk or that risk, and I think we should settle the case because the exposure outweighs the benefits of settling.
Are there, I know you can't divulge any identities, but are there any really unusual cases that you've handled?
Oh, I could go on for hours with
we don't have hours.
Some of the stories. I can't. Lately, I've been had some success with a lot of fraud cases where partners are defrauding other partners, things like that, and there seems to be more of that going on. But to really answer that question, it would take a lot more time than we have.
Well, we have about 30 seconds for you, so if you would give us a parting message to our viewers.
When in doubt, pick up the phone. Chances are a 5-minute phone call will let you sleep easy at night, and identify your problem ahead of time. Know what your risks are, and give us a call. We can help.
Bob, thank you very much for
being
here.
Joe.
And if you have the need, contact the Chamber office at 532-5700 or go to our website, tinleychamber.org. Well, our next guest is one of our newest members, and we're glad to have them join our ranks. We have with us Stacy Craig, who is the Marketing and PR Director for Ray's Collision Centers. Well, welcome to our show, Stacy.
Woo woo.
I met you and Colleen.
Yes.
You got my correction there.
Not Michelle.
Yes.
Or Melissa.
Whatever
Right.
name that was. But let's not take up any of our chatty time, because we've been having fun doing that.
Sure.
tell us, what was your motivation? What inspired you to go into this type of work, marketing, PR? And then tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's get into the nuts and bolts of your info.
Okay, so I've been involved in PR and marketing probably for the last 15 years or so.
Okay.
But I've been around the body shop area since I was little. My dad is a body man, he's a painter. So I remember going into the shop, into his garage, and smelling paint since I was like, 4 years old or something. So I was really, really excited about this position at Ray's Collision Centers, specifically for that reason, because it just really feels like home to me, and I really, really was excited about the opportunity to make a body shop what I thought it should be. And be excited about it and get everybody involved. And obviously that's my job, to kind of reach out to everybody and let everybody know about Ray's. So what was your other question, Joe?
Well, tell us a little about the operation, but you told us your background starting at 4 years old.
Yes.
That environment.
Yes.
So obviously you got to feel comfortable.
I do.
Yeah.
I love it. I went to school for art, and I've been involved in graphics design for a long time. So the art side of me really enjoys, or really loves to, see the cars, and I'm a car enthusiast as well, so that helps me. But I love to see something start from start to finish. Yeah, I mean, I really, really, really enjoy being part of it.
All right, now let's talk about, remember I said the nuts and bolts?
The nuts and bolts.
Let's talk
yes.
about Ray's Collision Centers.
Yes, enough about me. Why would you want to know about me?
Well, let's not go there. let's just go about, let's talk about the nuts and the bolts. You brought some props here. One of them's damaged slightly, and the other one looks good. But what are the services that are provided by Ray's Collision Centers?
Well, exactly what's in our name, Joe, is that we're a collision center. So, we fix anything from a small dent to, repainting your car. We don't necessarily specialize in restorations, although I would love us to, because that's kind of my heart and soul. I love to see, nice 57 Chevy come into the, the shop and get repainted, and of course I would like my own. Yeah, we do anything from a small paintless dent repair to full collision, accidents, hail damage, storm damage, which is something that we're working on a lot right now with all the storms that have been hitting Coal City and Braidwood, the Wilmington area. Those tornadoes and the hail damage is big right now. So we're really pushing for helping people out, and Ray's Collision Center is definitely one of those people or places to go, because it is family owned. So he really reaches out to everybody, and if there's anybody that's in hardship, we want to help them out.
How many locations are there?
There's 3 locations.
Okay.
3.
3. And where are they?
We have one in Mokina, one in Manhattan, and one in Wilmington.
Okay.
We just reorged, so we have a new name. We used to be Ray's Auto Body in Mokina, Manhattan Collision Center, and Wilmington Collision Center. So now we're Ray's Collision Center.
Okay, did you take over those other locations?
No, we've always owned them, but
Okay.
we just decided to kind of go underneath one umbrella and, be one cohesive unit versus kind of all separate. But we're still one great owner, and
Okay.
everybody's still the same, management and everything. So
How many employees does Ray's Collision
I
Centers
know that
have?
one.
You know that answer?
I know that answer.
That's good.
I got it. We have 35 employees throughout all 3 locations, Mokina
Okay.
being one of our largest, so we house a lot of our employees there.
Okay.
And then Manhattan and Wilmington, of course, are 2 smaller shops.
Well, all right, so you've got 3 locations, but how long has, it was Ray's Auto Body, Manhattan, this, whatever,
Right,
but
right.
how long has Ray's been around then?
26 years.
26 years, all right.
Yes. Ray actually opened our first location, Mokina, in 1989, and then followed it up with Wilmington in 2003, and then Manhattan in 2006. So we've been around for
Yes,
quite
you
some
have.
time.
And you say there's 35 employees
Right.
amongst all three locations.
Yeah, I would say give or take, right? Right.
Okay. All right. Well, I know you know that I'm going to ask, who are your ideal customers?
Well, Ray's Collision loves everyone.
All right.
We do anything from customer pay, which is, somebody coming into the collision center and paying directly for, collision repair.
Okay.
Or we also do insurance claims. So we really are for everyone. Even though we don't really work too much on the restoration side, we will take restorations, those old cars that come in, but it's kind of on a special basis.
You're saying old cars, and I think,
Older vehicles.
classic cars.
Exactly.
Right, classic cars.
Exactly.
So, yes, we do. And we have our classic car night every Tuesday in Tinley Park.
What do you like?
What do I like?
Yeah, what's your classic car? Do you have one?
Since the show isn't really about me, we're going to stick with Ray's Collision Centers. I like a lot of different cars. My car is almost a classic at this point, but
well, the 80s are like classic cars too.
Yeah,
so
they are.
I know.
All right, since we only have a couple minutes left in this
yes.
segment, let's continue. What makes Ray's Collision Centers different from, let's say, some of the other collision centers that are out there?
Well, we are one of the only family-owned and operated business or collision centers, collision repair centers in the south suburbs. A lot of them are being taken over by, other franchise companies, and the quality and the employees start to diminish. And we've maintained a lot. Our employees have been with us for 20 years and plus.
Well,
so
that's pretty good.
That is definitely something that is different. And also, Ray, the owner, is still very much involved. He has, you can go into the shop and meet him. And I think that is really a huge key, especially for our small businesses or, our small communities that we're out.
All right, Stacy, we have a little less than a minute left. What would you like to say as a parting message to our viewers?
Well, come check us out. Come and visit us. Come and check out our shop. We have a lot to offer. Like I said, we are family owned and operated, so we would enjoy the company. Come on in and give us a try.
All right. Well, as I've said in the past, you can contact Ray's Collision Centers, Bob Leoni, the Tinley Park District. You can get all of their contact information at our number, 708-532-5700, or our website, where you can see our membership directory, tinleychamber.org. Thank you for being with us. We hope to see you again next month.